Who's your daddy?
What's up, beautiful people? Thanksgiving morning. I'm gonna take you through a cool workout. Just a beautiful day to be alive and to train and to not have to go to work. Sun rising over there. Just a beautiful day. Gonna jump in the pool here for some cold therapy. I'll show you guys this expensive hole in my front yard. It's cost me an absolute fortune. I just had to drain this pond I've had for like 7-8 years because it kept leaking and bring in a boatload of clay. So now I gotta wait for it to fill again. Who knows how long that's gonna take. All right, so I'm gonna show you the drink I have every morning. Here. Obviously studies show hydration is important, especially to get early in the morning to boost your metabolism. So we get a little of this, and I take a little bit of this greens powder. You can do this in a smoothie or whatever else. I've just been doing this for years. I take these, usually I'm going to take these with some omega-3 capsules. Kids aren't still up. So to me, this really gets my system going. It also helps me, honestly, from a practical perspective, have a bowel movement in the morning. You really want to have a good bowel movement in the morning, honestly, because then you know you have a healthy colon, a healthy system. That's just in your circadian clock. That's when you want to be able to purge. So this really helps that, and it keeps insulin low. You know, you want your insulin low. It's in the morning, so I want my cortisol to stay high right before my workout, and I want my insulin down. So I'm still going to be training fasted. I'm going to be burning some serious energy without having to do any sort of cardiovascular. The cool thing for those of you that don't know, actually, this type of drink is actually not a bad thing to sip before you have a big meal, especially Thanksgiving. It's going to get those digestive enzymes going. It's going to actually help you digest the food. Definitely a massive difference. So it's crazy, the connection between your gastrointestinal health, your mood, your metabolism, your energy. It's just crazy, the research that's coming out. But if you're not pooping every morning, like, there's something going on in your system. Our cold plunge is about 33 degrees right now. Baby, gonna pop in this baby and get a lot of energy for my workout. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, baby. So I used to do, you know, I can do 10 minutes in there if I want to, but at this point, there's the cost-benefit ratio is not that great for just staying in there that long, and I don't really need to prove anything. So, 4 or 5 minutes is what I usually do in there. Been doing it for years, but it just feels amazing. Gives you a lot of epinephrine, a lot of neural energy before you work out. Amazing to do in the morning, first thing in the morning. So I absolutely love weekends and holidays, and the reason is I can work out in the morning. Like, I just find so much energy. And I would work out afternoon or evening, I can still make it work. But when I don't have to be rushed and I can just sort of play around, it's just awesome. So I really love weekends and mornings because it gives me the option of having more time and of working out. Like, ideally, if I didn't have to work, if I was like a professional YouTuber like a lot of these guys are, I would totally work out like 9:30 every day. I mean, it's just an amazing start to the day. Obviously, huge boost of dopamine, of epinephrine and adrenaline, and it's just fun. So I got so many projects still going on at the gym down here. Start refurbing stuff, and then I got a whole long list of other stuff to refurb. The welder was supposed to come this week, but wasn't able to because I didn't have the materials. So we're likely going to do it next week. But I got at least another 25 machines, at least, that I'm planning on refurbing in the next couple weeks. We're gonna train some legs today, so I'm just stoked. I literally come in here sometimes, it's just my testosterone goes through the roof. Orgasmic.
We had some
calves first. I'm using this Cybex rotary calf, cool machine. I haven't showed it at love in a while because I got some new calf machines, but I'm going to show it some love today. So I like to start every workout with calves. Still trying to build them up some, and I just like the feeling of the pump down there. I've been working out my legs without shoes on, just in my socks, and I just love the feeling of doing that. So this is a cool machine. Just the rotary function is fantastic. You get a great stretch. So I actually just hold my knees to make sure I'm not getting any upper leg movement, that the movement is solely and exclusively at the lower leg with plantar flexion of the ankle. So it makes a huge difference in how it feels. So after a couple sets with the last one being drop, it's just a great way to start the legs workout. So this is just a posterior chain focused workout. I've been breaking them up into quads and hamstrings and glutes, different workouts. Certainly there's some overlap, but I find that it just allows me to train the legs more often without being super fatigued, and allows me to really have a little bit more focus without sort of just doing general leg movements. So this is still one of my favorite movements. I showed this on my channel before using the Medix Avenger leg curl. This is a Strive plate loaded leg extension leg curl combo, doing that with that machine. What I do is I put the weight at the end range. I do only the first 30 to 40% of the movement only, because that you come up higher, it's not as good. And then I put the weight at the beginning horn, and I still with my torso upright, I finish the movement. So I'm trying to keep my feet plantar flexed the whole time. Just a phenomenal stimulus on the posterior chain, way different than just doing a traditional leg curl. So you can see I'm going to do as many as I can. I'm just going to kind of hold this position, almost like an isometric contraction. You really feel that in your posterior chain. This is kind of me just doing a second set. I think I'll do 2 or 3 sets of this. So again, the first part of the set is in the beginning range. The second part of the set is at the end range, which full range of motion. So I've just deliberately been lightening the weight and just focusing on the movement and just the feel and the contraction much more with this, and it's just been much more effective for me. This machine is just absolutely phenomenal. There's a couple reasons this is a top 2 prone leg curl. I sold the Strive Prime Selectorized prone leg curl because it's not near as good as this. This is even better than the dedicated plate loaded leg curl from Prime and Strive. This is the leg extension combo unit. The reason is this: back pad attachment. I can pop this up so it puts my torso in a more upright position to bias the hamstrings. The other thing is this: it's got a range of motion limiter that allows me to hold an isometric contraction. In addition to, look at the leg curl. Look at how much pre-stretch I can start with. An absolute game changer when you can start with pre-stretch. So this is much better, honestly, than the dedicated, isolated Strive Prime plate loaded leg curl because of those features. So we started with kind of an isolated movement. This is kind of my main compound movement for this leg session. So as opposed to like just a traditional squat, I'm doing kind of a more of a good morning kind of squat hybrid, mostly good morning, to really focus on posterior chain. This pendulum power squat, the original, that I modified with these extra horns you see on top, is phenomenal because of the see how it rotates. It's just a phenomenal way to do good mornings, just safely. The bands are kind of really enhance the experience because I'm really focusing on the top part of just thrusting my hips forward as hard as I can. But to me, it actually feels better than just doing a traditional squat. But I'm just looking for a glute biased compound movement that I can do safely to really overload. So I have my toes up on a wedge, which enhances the ability and kind of forces me to push through my heels. And just really, this movement just feels fantastic. Just kind of discovered this, doing it kind of like this recently. This is my new favorite seated leg curl variation. I think it's better than the Strive, even better than the Flex Ham Tractor, because of the Medix technology. So my new favorite seated leg curl variation on this Medix seated leg curl, I'm on a pillow
I've got about 3/4 of the half of weight that I'm used to. I lean forward specifically and I hold that stretch, and then I finish through the follow through. This seated leg curl gives you better range of motion than any other at the end range position. And when you add the stretch to it, it's amazing. We're just going to superset a couple isolated movements. This is the gluteator variation from Megamass. Phenomenal machine. I've used this on here before. This has got some band attachments and the seat adjusts, whereas the original gluteator does not. So this is a shorter range of motion, keeping my knees against the pad the whole time. And it just lights the gluteus medius, the upper outer glute, on fire. So here's another cool posterior chain movement I kind of just played around with. This is the Legend Fitness Reverse Hyperextension. This machine is absolutely phenomenal. I don't know why this machine doesn't get more credit. So I've got the pad all the way up, and I'm just doing, see this top range of motion, just focusing on full hip extension. Really does hit that glute hamstring tie-in well. And then we're going to move into just a single leg movement. So I like to have a single leg movement incorporated into every leg workout. This is one that surprised me recently. I've been playing around with the last 6 to 8 weeks. So one-legged, toes up, lunge / split squat on this Paramount squat press machine. Hits it phenomenally well. The stretch, you hit the stretch so well on this, it just feels fantastic. And it's just a very stable way to do it without having to hold a dumbbell or hold a barbell or hold a Smith machine bar. You can see just the range of motion with my toes up. It's just hits the posterior chain and a little bit of the quad, but I've kind of got my toes out like that specifically to go drive through my heel to specifically focus on adductor and glute. So just a phenomenal movement on this machine. But unilateral movements are totally underrated for legs. Very few movements hit the glutes in that crazy stretch position. Even more than a lunge, like a step up or a reverse lunge with your toes up, or in this instance, like a lunge split squat variation with your toes up. The pump in my glutes right now from having my toes up in that sideways position is just crazy. Honestly, that's the one machine of many machines missing in most gyms, a reverse pivot press. People talk about the squat press and how wonderful the squat press is. The pivot press is just as good, if not better, because it puts you in a more stable position where your torso is moving and your legs are stationary as opposed to the opposite. Now you can find this Paramount machine, which is awesome. I've actually got the same movement in this Paramount DRP leg press I'm actually selling because I don't have room for it, and it's redundant movement. It's the same movement as this. Just an amazing movement. I know Watson makes the same machine. I think those are the only ones I know in existence that have a reverse pivot press. Atlantis has an old school one that you can do it on too. I just don't like to have to start with a weight stack, at the very bottom of the movement. You want to be able to unrack and go down and not have to start at the bottom of the movement. Kind of like the old Body Masters sled. That's the only issue with the weight stack is you have to start in your weakest position and get started with the weight stack rather than being able to have a lift off. So just kind of fast forward through one all-out set here on this Strength Incorporated 70-degree leg press. I've reviewed this on here before. Specifically trying to do as many reps as I can. The sled on this is extremely heavy, so I've only got 145 on each side. I don't really care the weight, but I'm going for as many reps as possible. I think I'd get 75 or 80. Those of you that have done this technique before, it's crazy. The pump you get as well as just the stimulus. The fatigue, but not the crazy CNS fatigue. It's more of just fatigue from just the metabolic demands, the oxygen consumption in your system from just doing one crazy set for this long. So I like it because it's really a test of my mental strength more than anything. brutal way to do it. Lightweight, a lot of tension. I don't know about you guys, but there's something special after like a really solid lower body leg workout where you haven't taxed your nervous system too much. There's a pump, but you just feel like refreshed, rejuvenated. Like there's just a stimulus that's way bigger and better than the upper body. You know, obviously I spent a lot of my youth just training upper body and running because I didn't know any better. But as I've gotten older, I've just realized the importance of core foundational strength through your core, particularly and as well as your legs. Even though it's still disproportionate to my upper body, I still probably enjoy training it more just because of the psychotherapeutic effects of it, honestly. Before we leave the gym, I got to show you a couple of these beauties. I'll just kind of give you a snapshot, a couple of these beauties that I recently refurbed. Unreal. So I've got about 7 or 8, 9 more leg machines over here I'm going to refurb hopefully in the next week or two. These 2 are finished right here. Totally game changers. You're going to want to stay tuned and watch these things in action. So I'm interested to know how many of you guys train fasted versus well fed. I typically have always done like a reverse carb type approach because I find it works best. Like I think in very active athletic males, to keep your insulin low during the day, to help you sleep better, I do think a reverse carb approach is probably the best, honestly, approach. I mean, I'm not a strict, you know, keto, carnivore, whatever. People are crazy into this stuff and they're acting like it's a religion. But for me, keeping my insulin low during the day and having carbs later in the day, I mean, I don't compete or whatever. Obviously, I could be leaner if I really want to. I don't really feel purpose to be leaner. This is just a fun thing. It's just, it would just be sort of vanity, cosmetic, whatever, if I wanted to just like compete or whatever. I don't have anything against people that compete. But from my perspective, there's nothing I would gain from it that I don't already have. But yeah, I still love the reverse carb approach. I love having this training fasted where my cortisol is significantly elevated. It's going to give me that burst of energy to be able to train. That's why I like training at lunchtime during the work week if I can, if I got time lunch, because I think it's just optimal. If you have to train in the evening, you have to train in the evening. Sometimes it's hard to go that long without replenishment of your glycogen. But for me, this approach works the best. I feel the best. And the whole purpose of me training is just fun, maximize energy. I'm not necessarily, like I said, here to compete. Nothing against those people that compete, but there's nothing I would gain from it that I don't already have.